the Georgia photographer. We're live. I'm still kind of setting things up. Teresa wanted to be in the thumbnail. There we go. All right. I got cut off abruptly. There was a long list of things that shut off the live stream early while ago, so I've relocated. Let's see here. Got indoors. I'm trying to get the composition like I want. There's where I want to be. How y'all doing? All right. We was talking in the first stream, which I'm going to leave up, about the 50 millimeter or 58 millimeter. Is there really that much of a difference between those two primes? And the conversation rapidly diverged from that over to what your favorite fast prime was. And the general consensus circled around Nikkors, Minoltas, and Voigtlanders. Those three were the main primes of choice. And it was really interesting to see the kinds of lenses people chose. A lot of people like the 40 millimeter Voigtlander. It was a really interesting choice for them. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to handle chewing this gum doing the live stream. But now that we have a more stable internet connection, plus things are kind of calmed down around here, I'm able to get online and stay online for a few minutes. It's done. I don't know what it is about me and doing videos and the clock striking 2 bells. You'll see about that pretty soon. But this is a pretty interesting little lens. This 50 millimeter Minolta f1.4 lens. It's significantly larger than the f2. Just one stop of light difference and the lens shrinks significantly. Matter of fact, I'm gonna grab it. Here's the difference. You got the f2 version and the f1.4 version. They're that much smaller there and that much smaller there. It's incredible the actual difference in size and weight. This lens is probably a third or a fourth the weight of this one, just by reducing the amount of glass necessary. But this lens being super light is real handy on cameras. This is a little newer version too, because it has the auto aperture control functionality on it that this one here is 1 generation older apparently, and it doesn't have it. This one's the MC series and this one's an MD series. Hi again. I finally got my stream fixed and I've relocated into the house and got stable internet and got everything sorted out. It took me a little while, but we're back in business. So, but yeah, then we was talking about, hold on. Now, I was talking about fast primes, and you guys were bringing up the Voigtlander 40s and things like that. And this, yeah, we're back. This is the F2, all right? The 50 millimeter f1.4 and the 50 millimeter f2.0. Boy, that's hard to say real fast. But, I mean, you can see immediately the size difference in chassis, and then the elements. This is f2 glass and this is f1.4 glass, and yeah, it's that much smaller in glass. This lens, seriously, it's 1/4, 1/5 the weight of this one, maybe more. It's incredible how much lighter this lens is over this one for one stop of light. Now, do you really gain that much from getting that stop of light? Some people do. I mean, if you're shooting in low light, you're gonna see it. I just got a comment on the last live stream from Maxim. Maxim, look, we're live again. You can join in. Yeah, it's a good looking piece of glass. It is a really neat lens. I mean, dude, it's like a giant hole through this thing. I mean, look at the rear element. Let's see what the rear element on the F2 looks like. Yeah, that really tells the story. Look at that. F2, F1.4. Man, that's a whole bunch of light. I can just imagine what the F1.2 looks like compared to that. Because that's, isn't that another full stop to F1.2 from 1.4? I don't remember, but I think it is. It starts moving really quickly when you get down to those low numbers. What I like about the F2 is it's got this really cool little Minolta lens cap that goes over this outer band and then clips inside. I don't know if you can tell it, inside there, that edge. So it completely covers the filter thread on the front of the lens. Pretty slick. But yeah, this lens weighs virtually nothing compared to the 1.4. Let's see what this says. Yeah. Tech says that F1.4 the focus plane is razor thin, and it is. And even with focus peaking, he's talking about, and you need something like focus peaking to get the maximum effect out of it, and you do. And the problem is, even then, you miss focus. On the Fuji, if I shoot down towards the ground, as I drive the focus, you can see the range that it says is in focus moving along the ground. You can see that yellow band traveling across the ground. And it's like there's a section about 60% from the rear. That's where the actual plane is. I think it's the way it's set up, 40, 60 or something like that. But I normally go to the 10x magnifier. I've got it set for, on this camera, this button is focus magnification, where this one is back button focus. So I can hit this button, it zooms in with the EVF, I can see it. Then I just dial it until it's crisp in the EVF and then take the frame. And that allows me to get many more hits than misses. But if I do it just off of static looking at the peaking, I'll miss focus pretty much every time at 1.4. It's shallow. I got another one came in. Black and White Berry says they never used Minolta. How do you rate it against Nikon? It's depending on the lens is what I have found. I got something in my eye. But some of them produce stunning results. I've got a 100 millimeter macro. That's a Minolta. That's an incredibly sharp lens. Not sure where it's at, physically right now. It may be in that bag. I think I took it out though. I believe it's over in the cabinet. I got the 105 f2.5, and then I've got, but that's a Nikkor lens. My bad. Yeah, I put it away. But the 58 that's on here, this older 58, takes really, really good photos. Stop down a little bit. Wide open, it's a little bit like that 50, but it's usable. In low light, it helps. But I shoot this typically at f2 to f2.8. It's still fast, and it still gives you good background blur. But it has a look all its own. I would say if you gave it a percentage, they're probably 80% of the old AIS Nikkor glass. It's kind of like the pre-AI Nikkor. They're in about that range. They're, these lenses being as old as they are, they're not coated, so you get chromatic aberration and color shift. And they're low element count lenses. I mean, think this one has only 7 elements in 5 groups. I think is what this means. It's a PG. I think that's 7 elements in 5 groups. So when you don't have that many elements, you can't correct the color shift issues. That's why you see these lenses that have a ton of elements in like a low range zoom, and it have 21 elements. Some of them elements are only correcting the green, and they're bending it back in plane so that it doesn't come out shifted and it's not off location. You see that sort of thing a lot in those high element count lenses. They're correcting barrel distortion with some of them. They're correcting, you know, chromatic aberration and color shift and things like that. But the coatings get rid of a bunch of that too. And these lenses are uncoated for the most part, and they're low element count. So you get some of those kind of problems with them. It's just playing the game with vintage glass. You just run with it. Gives the lens character. Yeah, I mean, a Minolta lens has a look, and I like it. I really like the look of a Minolta lens that it produces in the camera, and I like some more than others. I've got a 45 millimeter over there on the X700. Hey, Maxim, I noticed you was commenting on the other live stream. The internet was terribly connected earlier, and we were having lots of issues with it. No, well, yeah, I do. Yeah, actually, I do. The tech's asking if I use vintage glass on my Nikons, and I do. I'll use the AIS lenses. I use native Nikon lenses. I don't adapt glass to DSLRs. I have learned the hard way that it causes some issues with like infinity focus and distance focus. When you start stacking adapters, even the super thin ones, it moves the lens out enough that you move the focus plane away from the camera sensor, and you can only take pictures up close. So I adapt native lenses, or I use vintage. Like I like the AIS lenses, and I have the 28 millimeter AIS, and I shoot it pretty regularly on my D810. I really like it on that camera. I still want a 43 millimeter lens for full frame. Only Pentax makes one. I have, that 100 millimeter is a Pentax. It is not a Minolta. Come to think of it, it's the Pentax Asahi 100 millimeter macro. That's right, and it's an M42 screw mount. That's something I like about Pentax, is they do a lot of M42 mount lenses. They have a bayonet as well. I don't think I have one here, but they have a multi-lug bayonet as well as they do M42. So you can get Pentax in either platform, which is kind of neat. But yeah, that's what that is. It's not a Minolta lens, come to think of it. I do have some, I got the 135 millimeter Celtic, I think it's a Celtic 135 millimeter, but it's got issues. The lens has an aluminum inner barrel, and it's painted with this like anti-reflective black paint on the inside, or matte finished in black anodizing or something. And it started to pit corrode, so it's got all these little fuzzy dots inside of there, and it's generating a bizarre effect when I shoot with it, so I don't use it. It's out there on the camera as a display thing. But it's a functioning lens, I just don't use it because of that. But yeah, I normally don't shoot anything but Nikon glass on my Nikon cameras, but I'll shoot the 105 f2.5 on it. I like it on there too, and that 200 millimeter f4. And Ultra Celic was their cheapo consumer lens in the 70s. And it looks like it. Compared to the rockers, they're not near as nice. They're not near as well made. You can see it. It's pretty evident. It came on the camera. I bought it, I think it's one of those SRT 101s. You know, it was like their budget camera from the 70s. And it had that lens on it when I got it. It was like $40 for the bundle. And there was a bag, and it had a bunch of little things like a remote cable release. There was a bunch of stuff in there, so I wanted it mainly for the lens, but the lens is, it's meh. It takes a picture. Some people will probably like it because of the artifacts. I thought about ever so carefully with like a model car paintbrush going in there and repainting the inside of that lens flat black and seeing if that would fix it, because it may fix it. Yeah, I have the 135 f2.8 Series E, and it's even smaller. They somehow compressed that lens and got it into a tiny footprint. I took it up north last fall when we did our tour up the Eastern Seaboard. And I took a bunch of photos with it at Martha's Vineyard. Great lens. Yeah, I like the 135. I don't know which one is my favorite portrait lens. It would probably be that 105 f2. I have the f2 DC, this monster here. Oops. Yeah. There we go. This is probably my favorite portrait lens. The big old f2 DC Nikkor, built-in lens hood, pretty sweet. The defocus control, to me, is almost a gimmick. I mean, it makes such a slight change to the image that I don't use it. I might push it to f2 and leave it there, but I always run it to the rear, because if you run it to the front, it makes the lens, it makes the images look weird, like not right, kind of weird. Yeah, very, very minimally adjustable bokeh, from what I can tell. It makes a little difference, but not much. Yeah, I experimented with it, and I ran it to the front, and it does something with the mind, and it just looks disturbing to look at this with it set to the front control. It just never looks right. I don't even know why they give you front. No one ever uses the front. Yeah. But yeah, I like this one. As far as a portrait lens, that's my favorite. I actually got this from the Angry Photographer's recommendation, because it was even used. I bought this one second-handed. It was still a lot of money. I don't remember what I paid for it, but it's in like new condition. I got it from KEH, but yeah, it's like brand new physically, and I paid a pretty good bit of money for it. I don't remember what it was, but it was a lot, like $800 or $900. But yeah, that's a beautiful lens. I have yet to adapt it down to the Fuji. I just now realized I've never mounted it on the Fuji. That'd be basically about a 160 millimeter lens on the Fuji. That'd be kind of interesting. It'd still be a good portrait length on it, and still be fairly fast since it's f2. Faster than the other one I'm running. But it's surprising how much size difference there is. I guess this one is so much bigger because A, it's a stop faster than 2.8, but it's also got this defocus mech in there. Plus it's autofocus, which is probably another factor as to why it's a little bigger. It's got that screw drive focus system in it too, but it's just going to cut the center out and use the middle. It ain't going to use any of the edges. So, you know, if there's edge issues, then it'll just hide them. I think this lens is pretty much sharp corner to corner, though. What's the rear element look like? It's got a huge rear element, too. But yeah. I've only shot it on the D810. I haven't even put it on any of my other camera bodies. But that was a really interesting thing I was noticing, was that this lens doesn't produce as good of results as the 58 millimeter. This is the 50. Yeah. You know what? This lens doesn't have but probably 8 or 9 elements in it at the most. And they fixed a little bit of that CA with these lenses, just a little. I think it's even coated. Yeah, it's got some kind of a coating because the lens looks green. But yes, I think the perspective control lenses they're either AI, they're pre-AIS, I know for sure. And they're super low element count, so they probably, well, that's how they fixed the chromatic aberration, wasn't it? You dial that around and push it out. Yeah, I don't have a perspective control lens from Nikon at all. I've looked at them a time or two, but I just never have bought one. I still ain't got that bug out of my eye. That was from earlier. there's a gnat, and he committed suicide in my eye. He got behind the lens of these glasses. Yeah, we're about to do some driving here in a little while and go shoot some photos. And I was thinking about another aspect of this live stream was supposed to talk about the new patent that Nikon filed for the crop sensor mirrorless camera. I think what they're doing there is they're coming up with a competitor for the 6000 series Sony cameras. I believe is what that's going to be. And it looks like, from what I've seen in the sketch, it looks like they've got one of those pop-up EVFs in the corner for the rangefinder style offset. And Bass Angler can't wait for that non-EVF version of it so he can mount up his screw drive focus 200mm lens to it and manually drive it, since it won't have a focus motor in the body. Let me back up here. I've seen some stuff go by. Let me see it. 1973 was a good year. Oh, youngster. 105 f2.5 is not perspective control. It referred to the updated Gaussian lens element. Oh! Well, they make that perspective control lens. I thought that was what that was referring to. You know, it's got the little thing where you run the screw and you shift the whole lens left and right, and it changes the background blur. It does that kind of lens babyish look. I thought that's what that lens was. Okay. Come on. There we go. Hey, Grant. Glad you logged in. Pop it right in the trash. Okay. Yeah, I was looking at those other days. It's got that block assembly. It's about this big, but it's got a square mechanism with a screw adjustment on the side. And that's the lens I was talking about. Okay. Yeah, misunderstanding. Yeah, I think that little mirrorless idea would be a great like street photography camera. I think it'd be a really cool camera for that. Unfortunately, I don't see Nikon putting the screw drive focus motors in any of these, as bad as I hate to admit it. I really wish they would. I really wish they'd either come up with the adapter that had the focus motor in it, or built a mirrorless body that had the focus motor in it. Why would I need one? What can't we do? What can't we do now? I can't autofocus this lens with a mirrorless camera. I like the form factor and I like the functionality of the mirrorless footprint. I really do like that. There's a lot of things about the mirrorless camera I like, but the one big hang up is these lenses with that. Let me see if I can get the light to focus on it. That little socket right there has, let me get over here, maybe it'll see it, but that's the screw drive focus input. I can't focus about 50% of my lenses because I have to manual focus them. And I bought the autofocus ones because they're good lenses. And that's the hang up that I can't autofocus. And I was really hoping with them new Nikon full frame mirrorless that they would still put the focus motor in the body to drive those lenses. And they didn't. They left them out. And then for the electric focus lenses, they made an adapter for the F-mount glass, and that's cool and all. I only have one. Let me think. Yeah, I think I have one G-series lens now, and this is at 70 to 200 in my bag. The rest of them are all D-series or AF series. They're AF lenses, which is screw drive focus. But that's why I was cutting up a bass angler the other day. I was wanting them to come out with one more Hail Mary flagship DSLR because then I could get me the most up-to-date camera body, and it will probably have a focus motor in it, just like all of them have up to this point. And I can get, you know, and then I can use that legacy system as long as I can before, you know, those cameras become unreliable and obsolete. Let's see what we got here. Or just keep the DSLR alive. No, they won't. They want you to buy the S-series lenses. That's true. They want to sell you the new glass. They don't want you to buy the old glass secondhand because they need to sell lenses. And I get that. You know, the problem was they built these lenses way too well. That's the truth. This lens is fairly new. This is a fairly new copy. I think this is a 2016 version. But this lens is well built, and it will last literally decades. I mean, I'm currently shooting with a early 70s 58 millimeter Minolta lens, and it works fine. And they need to sell you lenses. And he's right. They can't sell you their S-series lenses if you keep using your old AF lenses. And that's probably why they won't do it, yeah. Yep, Maxim's right. They want you to buy that crap and move forward. Does the Nikon TC 1.6A work on new cameras with the adapter? I don't know. It has an autofocus motor in it? I bet it don't. But that's interesting. Dude, I need to write that crap down. I will straight look that up and see. Nikon TC 1.6A converter. All right. Now, but yeah, if they would, seriously, if they had launched the Z7 with an adapter that would have focused AF lenses, I might have actually got one of them instead of the Fuji. Actually, I was waiting on it. I really was, because I wanted to stick with the Nikon family, because I really like Nikon tools. It's all good stuff. I've always had real good service out of my Nikon gear. I've never had problems out of any of it. And that's pretty rare, because camera equipment's fairly fragile, so you expect to see problems with it. But it's always worked. I've never had trouble with it. I got a metal splinter in my finger, and I keep bumping it. I'm gonna have to get Sierra to fish it out in a little while with a pocket knife. But yeah, I thought that was a pretty interesting look, because it looks just like an A6500 or whatever, you know. That was a pretty interesting, what do you call it, patent that Nikon filed. Is like, yeah, it looks just like a Sony A6500, so what? Oh, and they made it small, but it's bigger than the A6500, really, because it does have a little bit of a grip on it. It's almost like they're trying to hit the Fuji X-T3 kind of size, is what it looked more like to me than a Sony a6000. Uh-huh. Yeah, it'll show all the flaws in the lens work. It's interesting to see that, like, this lens will resolve probably 100 megapixels. Its resolution is incredible, you know, to where maybe this lens will resolve 20, 24 fine, but you get much over that, and you're going to start seeing the artifacts from this little 50 millimeter, and it's going to look bad. Even with the highest resolution sensor out there, it's not going to look good because the lens technology isn't all that great in this older lens. It's kind of neat to look at that. I think the compressor just dropped out on the AC. Yeah, with macro lenses, they normally have high resolving capabilities. I've noticed that, you know, that's the whole kind of shtick with them, is they're super good glass normally. I got the 200 millimeter f4 macro lens for the Nikon. That's on the list for review. I've had it for several years now. I bought it for product photography. But it's actually been a great lens. But when I really want to do good macro, I'll go get it, put it on the D810, and I'll get incredible macro photos with it then. But that's a good point, is that, you know, the new sensors have such fine pixel pitch that you'll start seeing the artifacts of the lens show through. So what's your guys' favorite fast prime? That's what I'm looking at here. That's what the basic of this is. You know, like this is a f1.4. My first f1.4 lenses were both Minoltas. This 50 mil and that 58. I just grabbed them off eBay, and this one was only like $50 shipped to my door. I think it was actually just a touch under 50. And it's surprising what you can get for 50 bucks delivered in the US. There's such a heavy, I noticed this, I was talking to one of my subscribers from France the other day. He was looking for a lens, and in Europe, the lenses aren't as prevalent as they are in the States. There's a lot more photography equipment floating around secondhand market in the US apparently than there is in Europe. And because of that, we can get stuff a lot cheaper. You know, we buy things from Japan. Well, like some of these lenses I've bought directly from like camera shops in Japan, and they'll be a lot cheaper. And even with international freight, it still comes out to be a lot less than buying a American postal coded lens. Whatever someone in the US having the lens will just ask more for it. You know, and you can get one in pristine condition from Japan, and it'll be 25% cheaper. It'll be significantly cheaper. Let's see what. That 200 millimeter f2, dude, that lens would be dope. I would like to shoot some portraits with that lens. Might pick up my XT2 more if they make the adapter. They won't make an autofocus adapter. You can forget that. There's some kind of technology in Nikon lenses and the electronics that they just can't figure out. I don't know what they're doing in there, but it's some dark magic, because PhotoDiox tried it and they fried a bunch of Sony cameras. But then again, it was Sony cameras. Let's give Bass Angler some old 500 millimeter f4.5 manual lenses from the 70s and see how happy he is with that. He won't be. It won't be very long at all, because I had the 400 millimeter f2.8, and that thing was a nightmare to focus. You'll try it, huh? Yeah, that. And I still haven't got that 100 millimeter Tokina. Kelly B saying the 400 millimeter f3.5 has a special place in his heart. Old lens, beat up, gorgeous and flawless glass. I traded in my 400 millimeter f2.8 for that 2-500 monster I keep over here. That thing has turned out to be a great lens. But let's see that. I can reach it. Yeah. Woo, slung the lens head across the room. This was one of Nikon's greatest inventions. The 2-500 Nikkor f5.6 constant aperture. This thing takes insane photos. Well, as long as you do your part, but dude, that's a front element. I love this lens. It's one of my favorite lenses. The bag today has, what's this, the 60? Yeah, the 60 millimeter is my standard go-to walk-around lens for the D810. That's what I shoot when I shoot with it. Yes, I like the 2-500. And I really, that 180 millimeter f2.8 is what Grant, I think that's what Grant was using that day. I think he had the AIS version of that lens. Took beautiful photos. I mean, just start at 500 millimeter, don't they? 95 millimeter front element. Yeah, and when I'm photographing surfers, I turn it into the 700 millimeter. It's a 700 millimeter f8 with this. I put the 1.4 teleconverter on it and get that extra little bit out of it. Since you're in the sun, typically f8 works fine, and then it gives you decent depth of field to get good focus too. Really? Wow. It's a great lens. Yeah, that 180 millimeter is a nice one. He was using it, and dude, it was getting phenomenal photos with it. What you got here? Basically a modified version of the old Zeiss 180 millimeter f Olympic lens. Wow. Yeah, he was having super good luck with it that day. That was something I noticed about it when he was using it. Of course, everybody's got their mainstay, the 70 to 200 f2.8. I keep the tripod foot dismounted. I have it, but I never mount it on the lens. I will direct couple occasionally to the tripod foot. I'll put a Arca Swiss plate on it to couple it to the tripod, but I don't put the foot on it. But I kept up with the foot, but I just don't use it. I normally run it just mounted on the camera. But this is the Gen 1 G series. This lens takes beautiful photos. And when they came out with that Gen 2, everybody complained about it. I remember that. And I don't remember what it was about it that they didn't like, but that Gen 2, nobody really liked it. I don't remember what it was now. Oh, they removed these buttons. They took those buttons off, but I never use these buttons, so that's not a real problem for me, but it's a focus lock button. You focus, and then you mash this button, and it will allow you to recompose, but I never used it. Because I was always back here. My hand was always in the back where the zoom ring is, you know, instead of up here where that button was. I just never use them. But the new generation, when they put the buttons back on it, who knows? You don't have a single copy of one of these lenses. This is the only one I have. I wanted the 80 to 200, but it's a screwdriver focus, and I already had the 70 to 200, so I didn't really see the value of picking it up right now. Let me go get back in the bag. But yeah, that's interesting. It's a good lens. It's a good general purpose lens. I use it a lot if I'm shooting indoor events because f2.8 gives me a fairly reasonable amount of light. Yeah, they reversed them. And I think they did that because the zoom mechanism, they moved it and they changed this physical layout, and they needed the ring to be on the other side to be able to drive it. What I liked about this one was, this one, if you'll notice, steps down all the way to the back. The new one don't. It's a solid cylinder, and I think they also put those, this one's got silent wave motors in it, but it doesn't have the new ultrasonic or the new linear motors. I think that solid cylinder body gives them room for them linear motors, and the zoom, or moving the zoom ring to the front allowed them to reposition some parts in there to get it to where basically they made a Canon L lens is what they did. They took the L lens apart, if I had to guess, because it looks pretty much like they did that. Just from the physical external appearance of it, it looks like they just copied the new L glass. And then they up the glass game, made the glass nicer, but you know. But that's what it looks like to me. Yeah. Oh yeah. Let me show you something. You want to see something special? Grab this right here. Where's that? There it was. Let's see. this is pretty neat. 70 to 210 millimeter manual focus versus 70 to 200 millimeter autofocus. That's how much difference you get. This one's also, well, this is also an f4 lens. I got to give credit where credit's due. If this was an f4, it'd be a lot smaller than this. But, you know, when you go to manual focus, it gets a lot smaller. Get my hand out of the way. It's surprising how much littler that 70. This is the Series E 70 to 210. I like these. These, especially if you get one that doesn't have bad zoom creep. This one ain't too bad, actually. These lenses, I shot this on the A7 II for, I ran it for several weeks by itself, and it takes actually very good photos for a cheap, low budget, low tech. I mean, the front element rotates when you zoom, or when you focus, the front element rotates. It actually drives in and out as you focus. You can see it moving in and moving out because I got my finger locking it off so it won't float. But yeah, you can see it's pushing it. Great little lens though, to be such a cheap piece of glass. But I've got two copies and one works better than the other about the zoom. And you can buy these for like $35 off eBay. They're cheap. You don't spend a lot of money on them, but they are f4. You know, so they're fairly slow as far as aperture goes, but I had real good luck with them. If you shoot outdoors with them, they work great. If you shoot indoors, you need some light. Yeah, I got a friend in Michigan. He's got the f4. He loves the f4 variant because he shoots almost exclusively with strobes, and he says if you're shooting strobes, you don't need the fast glass. It doesn't bring anything to the table. And he's shooting product photography almost exclusively. So he's already doing 3-shot focus stacks to get deep focus because he's shooting product photos. So he's already shooting close to the product to get, you know, and it's little small articles. And he's shooting at 200 millimeters, so he's backing up as much as he can to fill the frame. But he also shoots 3-shot focus stacked images and then focus stacks them in Photoshop to get a good sharp image that's sharp all the way across the product. But he said he's already shooting at like f11, I think. He said if he goes to f16, he starts to lose a little focus through diffraction. So he said it's smarter for him to shoot at f11 and focus stack. What does it say? Yeah. All right. Everybody's talking about the 70 to 200s. I was taking BIF pics on my D500 with the 72 to 10 variable aperture. Good results. Me too, Max. Of course, you and I are F5.6 guys. Oh yeah, the non-Series E is autofocus, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, bird in flight. Okay. Yeah, I have yet to see the autofocus version of the 70 to 210. I mean, in person. Like I said, I grabbed a couple of these and I played with these, and they work really well. There's an example of where focus stack works well, product photography. For macro flowers, it looks weird because your brain is used to the focus fall off. Yeah. Yeah, what's the minimum focus distance on this lens? 2 meters? No, 2 feet, yeah. Yeah, this thing has that pseudo macro. If you push it out to 70 millimeters, it'll allow you to turn the focus ring another quarter of a turn and focus closer. The reason they do that at the 70 mil and not the 200 is because the zoom helicoil is out of the way of the focus mech, and the focus mech can move further out, but it allows you to focus closer. But it's, yeah. Huh, interesting. I've never looked at focus stack flyers because, like you said, you expect the focus to fall off. It would just seem more normal. But yeah, he's doing it. He's doing it for product photography though. Small, and it's a lot of small stuff. But yeah, he loves the F4 for that reason, because he shoots it with strobes. You know, he's hitting it from like 6 different directions with strobing. I asked him why he didn't build a big softbox for it, and he said that sometimes clients want shadows. So if he built a softbox, it's a lot harder to control the shadow, he said. So he has what's the big square boxes on the end of the strobe, soft boxes. He has big soft boxes, and they're mounted around the room. It's really neat to see his setup. He's got one that shines. He's got a white background and a black background. And when he sets up the white one, he's got a light that's right below a table he uses. And he hits that white board with like a full power flash and turns it white. You know, so the background's whited out because like he does a lot of that stuff where you cut them out and put them on a web page with no background, and he wants them on a white background so he can erase it faster. But yeah, he's got a really neat setup for that. Yeah. Some landscapes will work okay. Focus breathing though. Yeah. You need to make sure your lens doesn't have focus breathing, or you're going to have problems with focus stacking. Oh, thank you. The watch photo was I was just trying to show you that you could black out the background with it. And with the table being basically clear glass, I was able for the light to pass through the table and not reflect off of it. And that's how I got the black background without a black background. I had a couple of people share a couple of photos on Instagram with me where they done the same technique and played with it. One guy photographed his watch, and then another guy photographed something else. Yeah. I've done a little bit of product photography for the machine shop, but not a lot. Greg does a bunch of it, and he's really good at it. He's into cars. So he took a picture of the new Corvette they just come out with, the C8, I think is what they call it. Looks kind of like a Ferrari. And he basically took it into Photoshop and put all these different kind of racing stripe packages on it to see the way he wants to build one out. I don't know. He's kicking it around so hard. I'm thinking he may be buying one for not too distant future. But he even did one up with the Dale Earnhardt number 3 on it for the Chevy guys. Yeah, they said, the joke, Bass Angler said it's a mid-engine vet. And the big joke about that is that it took them, 40 years to come out with an upgraded Fiero? Text says, yes, for the money you can get them. They're sharp, probably not quick enough for bird and flight, but light and nice quality. I think AP has a review on it. Yeah, he's reviewed pretty much all of them lenses. I mean, like we was talking earlier, I bought this one based off his recommendation. I mean, his early stuff is solid. The truth is the truth, and he knows what he's talking about when it comes to Nikon glass. He's handled a lot of it. If you ever pay attention to, he ain't done one in a while, but he used to show like where he stores all his lenses in like the surplus ones, and he's got like 6 drawer cabinets, like chest of drawers is what we call them, chest of drawers down here in the South, and He'll pull one of the drawers open. It's just full of lenses, literally hundreds and hundreds of lenses, and it's all sorts of brands. It's like there's no brand left out of the mix from what I could tell. You know, he's got Leicas and he had a bunch of Voigtlander stuff, bunch of Nikkor, bunch of it. Yeah, just drawers and drawers full of them in that chest of drawers. Well, you know, maybe there's a reason he doesn't have a portfolio on the internet. Yeah, you don't share what you don't want people to see. So that's a good one. What's your guys's oh, I had the question. It's about the Voigtlander. Oh, here we go with that. it's right there. I can feel it. I think I got it. Yeah. Yeah. Ooh, that had to go. Been sitting here fretting over that stupid splinter in my finger. I think I got it. Can't see it now. I'm pretty sure it's gone. Yeah. Yeah, you can perform surgery on yourself without a license. Anybody else, you need a license. Yeah, and that's without anesthesia. Dude, out there in the woods with them wild animals and crap, surprised you ain't battling typhoid fever and rabies. Reason number 234 not to be a wildlife photographer. Routine self-surgery. So, keeps the countryside free of ticks since he draws them all to him. Yeah, he keeps them all over that way. I don't have to deal with them. We see ticks in the early spring here, but after a month or two, it's like they tend to go into hiding, or maybe they migrate out to Arkansas. Maybe that's it, because we don't really see them after that. But we do see them in the spring. It's like when the trees bud, they come out, and then they're out for a while, and then they kind of tend to go away through the summer, and we don't see them through the summer. It's like wasps. Wasps they'll start building nests in the early spring, and then we'll kill them all off, and then you won't see them again until about midsummer, when you see what we call the guinea wasp. It's a little yellow and black one. It looks like a yellow jacket, but it's bigger and it's meaner. They're real aggressive. Then they'll kind of make their nests, and then we'll kill them off, and then you won't see them again until spring. Yeah, we have deer too, but like we saw some literally just a night or two ago coming back from revival. He wears the special deodorant that attracts them. He's shooting 20 feet from one another, and he's eat up with them, and you ain't seeing a single one. And he didn't even have none on your camera gear. That's pretty cool. Oh. Yeah, like, bass angler's not liking that too much. I guess so. So, do any of you guys use Zeiss glass? Do y'all buy any of that? Because I've never I've never had any Zeiss lenses other than, like I was saying in the other stream, I got that one Sony lens. It's a Sony Zeiss. Oh, excuse me. I should have took my nap earlier. But I don't have any Zeiss lenses that are Zeiss. It's like Leica lenses. I don't have any of them. Yeah, me too. I don't have any. I don't have the money for them either. I'm shopping for $50 f1.4s on eBay. But I've always wondered, is there really that much to it? Yeah, second mortgage for Zeiss. The 35 f1.8 disc gone and a 135 Sonar and the Yashica contacts era. Yeah. Do they look like, when you use them, do they produce results that are basically of that value? Because they're all manual focus from what I understand. They don't even make them autofocus. Only one I own, yeah. Wow. You got Zeiss glass and it's not even all that great. That's interesting. Colors are really nice, sweet. Huh. Bass Angler's talking about he's going to drop the coin on the 600 millimeter f4 Nikkor. He's wanting that reach. That fast glass that'll get way out there. Yeah, is it 600 millimeters? I'm at f8. I'm 2 stops slower than that. Huh. Really? So I had a whole bunch of Yashica glass back in the late 90s. I had the little Yashica, what was it, it was like a FX103, or it was a 103 program is what it was called, and it was a film camera. And he shoots crops, a 900 millimeter equivalent. Yeah, that's true. It is cropping out the middle. But that Yashica was a really nice little camera, but I didn't understand what I had at the time because I had never really been taught by anybody how to deal with an interchangeable lens camera. And I had 3 or 4 lenses for it, and I played with them, but I didn't understand how aperture worked on it. And I would set them, most of the lenses had I would use the aperture to control the amount of light. I wasn't using it to be for creative purposes. So the only reason I'd turn it is because the light meter would show on the inside of the viewfinder, had a little light meter on the side of the needle, or dots. I think it had LEDs. I don't remember for sure. It was one or the other. But when that light meter would fall into the center of the range, that's when I would take the photo, and I ran it in program mode almost exclusively because of that, because I didn't really understand what I was doing with it as well as I should have. But I used that camera for years and took beautiful photos with it, and it worked great. In program mode, it took amazing photographs. Because its spot meter's right on the center of the frame. And I ran it most of the time with 400 speed film, but if I knew I was going to be indoors, I'd run 800. But Bass Angler wouldn't. The 500 PF be more versatile. I know you would lose a stop light, but it's very light. Aha! Well, he already has the that new 500 mil. What was it they just came out with? Is that the one you're talking about? Because this one's this is 5.6. Yeah, this is 5.6. It's a nice alternative. That was a nice lens. That's that new 500 millimeter you're talking about, isn't it? The one they just come out with. I think that's the same lens that I was that I was looking at. I mean, I wasn't looking to buy it. I was looking at the reviews on it when it came out. But yeah, it was an interesting lens. Yeah, super lightweight lens, but it's 500 millimeter. That 600 millimeter is what, about $12,000. It's stupid. That thing is incredibly expensive. Yeah. Diffractive optical elements. That's interesting. Yeah, but honestly, if you're just going to go to the 300 millimeter f4 and then put that teleconverter on it, that's going to dump you a stop. That's going to put you at f5.6, and you're going to be right back to the 2 to 500. You know, and then you're only at 450 millimeters anyway. So you really don't gain a whole lot by putting teleconverter on the 300 mil. I guess it would be, yeah, yeah, that thing is expensive. It's a lot of money for that lens. But that's why I put the 1.4 on the 2 to 500, because it's 280 to 700 millimeter f8 with the teleconverter on it. And like I said, if I'm shooting outdoors, it'll be sunny when I'm photographing surfers. I don't bother trying to photograph them on the rain, mainly because I don't want to get my gear in the rain if I can help it. He's just typing dreams. His close friends up in Connecticut have them. Yeah. They got the new Sony Super Sony Zoom too, I think. Sony Zoom lens. What is it, 600 millimeter Sony? I believe they got it too. Or they rented it for a video. Just rented it. But I seen they was reviewing it. That's a real, man, that 600 millimeter. That's just a bunch of glass, dude. It's a whole bunch of lens. When I bought that 400 millimeter f2.8, that thing was enormous. And like I said, I never could get a sharp photo with it because number one, it don't have image stabilization, and number two, I didn't have any in the body I was putting it on. I put it on D810. Number three, the depth of focus on it at f2.8 was super shallow. There's Teresa. Is Sierra back yet? Oh. Oh, okay. She got another hour. All right. They have whatever is paying them the most. I wonder how long it'll be before they have videos up about the Nikon patent on the miniature Z. What are they going to call it? The Z3? Is that what everybody's calling it? Wonder how long till that video's up. They'll have the director of photography doing their editing right now. Oh, she's hanging up her. She was opening the slide glass door. I thought she was in there hollering, but I was looking and she's doing stuff. She didn't look like she's hurting. She's put up her hammock. She's gonna read on the porch. But I was kind of intrigued by that little mirrorless camera anyway. If you put Z lenses on it, it'll be a nice little camera. You just got to buy all the new glass. That's the only drawback. And that new 85 mil, I didn't know what an S lens was, and I still don't know what the S means. Do y'all know what the S in that means? First, that's a good one. First, we have to thank Squarespace. And then let's talk about Squarespace ad nauseum for about 60 full seconds. I did use Squarespace to build my website, but I paid them for it. I actually used whose was it? It was either Thomas Heaton's or Nick Carver's product code. I don't remember. I think it was Thomas Heaton's discount code. Yeah, but that makes sense. The Japanese would play that trick on us too. Silly Americans. We'll use the S. Thomas has gotten interested. He's starting to get more creative with his videos. I like the one where it's a comedy video where he was in Patagonia, and it's like your pictures aren't good enough or whatever. Where he was faking the tree in the water picture, and he was yelling at the guys about hold the tree right and all that. Dude, that video was hilarious. I really like him. And I really like Nick Carver when he posts videos. He does really good videos. They're real laid back. If you haven't ever watched one of the Nick Carver videos, all of them are very similar. So it doesn't matter which one you pick, as long as it's one of the camping videos. Those videos are really cool. He's got a couple like where he went and done a trade show. What do you call them where it's an art fair kind of thing, where you got the little booths set up, and he went and set up in one of those and it rained on it. It was kind of neat. I like that. But yeah, he's got a really interesting style, and his videos are really well produced. But he's a landscape photographer out in like California, along the Nevada-California line, somewhere out in that area. And then I've gotten a few new people that I've picked up. One is I think she's Canadian. I believe she's Canadian. She's got a heavy accent, but I can't pronounce her name. It's like Duranka or something to that effect. It's really hard for me to pronounce her name. The name almost sounds Slavic or something. You know, it's a really interesting name. She does a Canon M50 as her camera that she's using, so all of her videos are centered around the Canon M50 and things to do with it. But you can always get little interesting nuggets of information, even from people that use, competing systems or whatever. So I still like to watch them. What I liked about her using the M50 was she was doing street photography, and she has it set like right now. I'm set on electronic shutter, and then I've got the display set to shot. So if I touch the screen, it just took a picture. And she was doing that, but what she had it set for was wherever she touched on the screen, that M50 would focus there and then take the picture. She literally just touched the screen, it would focus on where she touched it, and it would fire the frame. So she could get down low, she could get the camera at angles or whatever, and get it up high, and look at the little screen, and she could just touch the screen when she saw the composition she liked. It was a really interesting idea, and I thought that was a really great concept. So I messed around with it. I set the electronic shutter on this one because it'll do 1/32,000th of a second shutter speed. And I thought, I want to play with that a little bit. But man, that darkens down the frame. You gotta have some light. Man, I should have took that nap. All right, I'll look him up. Gavin. Oh yeah, that guy. Oof. Those videos, they'll bore you to tears. That Georgia photog guy, man, he's terrible. I got to up my game on my entertainment value. I always watch all of my videos through after I've uploaded them. I'll play them through because you can go on the back end and you can watch them on the back end, and they allow you to like insert those cards and all that junk. And I'll just sit down and watch the video through to see if it's entertaining any at all. Sometimes they're okay, but sometimes it's like, why did I upload this? Gavin Hardcastle, Photo Tripper, is a landscape guy. I want to look him up. And there's this Brandon Von Sloot or Brandon Von. He's pretty cool. He's like a South African, and he does a lot of photo trips. He's been doing stuff with Thomas Heaton lately. I like him. Yeah. But I do watch my videos after I upload them to see what they look like uploaded. I'll watch them on my phone typically to see what they look like. And I always get in a hurry when I'm filming, and I fail to film things I need. Yeah. I appreciate it too. I really do. But I failed to finish, like, I just uploaded the video for this lens, all right, the 50mm f1.4 review, and it goes live Wednesday, but unless you've stuck it out with me to this point in the live stream, nobody else will know it. But for this video, I shot the footage for it. Oh, he's Canadian. Okay. See, I thought he was South African because he done a bunch of videos in South Africa when I found his channel. He was filming down there, and he was going to like these remote areas. Interesting. And he had like his wife with him, and they'd drive way up into this high country in the top of these mountains to this little town and do photo trips up there. But I filmed all of the dialogue for this video and didn't film the outro. Completely forgot it. So the video ends differently. Rather than all that dialogue I put at the end of the videos, I just ended it. So we're gonna see how that goes. But it's an interesting video to me. I shot it on location in a little town up in Tennessee called Dayton. It's where the Scopes monkey trials were held back in 1925. So there's a little history lesson in that video as well. But yeah, I'm trying to improve my quality. Just be honest about it. The next video after that is probably going to be this f2 lens. And then I'm probably going to do a comparison of these two to see if it's really worth all the extra bulk and weight. Yeah. Yeah, his videos, he's pretty chill in his videos. But yeah, he does some really interesting dialogue shots, or not dialogue, what do you call it? B-roll. When he brings his B-roll in, he doesn't overdo the B-roll, but his B-roll shots is like, he's very good at doing his video, like placing you in the location. He uses B-roll well. So I really like, that's what I like about him, is his videography is really, really good. Because you spend the bulk of the time keeping the non-photographer entertained and bypass the loss. There's a lot of truth in that. Oh, yes. Maxim says he always tries to do his photo trips alone, because if you take someone with you, you end up entertaining the non-photog and not doing photography, and that's true. I have seen that myself, and I've seen it a lot, because that's what I do too. If Teresa goes with me, she's not really into photography all that much. She likes the photos to be taken, but she doesn't want to take them, you know. So she likes to do things with her phone, and it's just, she likes snapshots, and it's not bad. It's, you know, it's just different. And you know, he's right. You'll spend your time entertaining or visiting instead of doing photography. So like, what was it, last year? Wasn't it last October? I went up to the Smokies with those two photogs from Indiana and done that trip with them. Great trip. Because we got up in the morning, war gamed it a little bit, gathered up our gear, loaded up in the car, went and found something to eat, and then went straight and took pictures. And we did it all day. We'd stay out, you know, wherever we went, we'd be there for hours, and nobody cared. We had, yeah. So if you're going to do a photo trip, make sure you go with other photographers. Digital nomads. Is that what they call people that do YouTube videos about their exploits? Yeah. Yeah. They'll tell you, that's good enough. Yeah, once you take the picture now, the sun's out. I have learned to work with less than perfect light because of that. I've actually gotten fairly proficient at shooting decent photos in midday sun because of that. Sorry. But yeah, that is kind of an interesting point. I haven't really thought of it a lot. I'll put this back in my case. All right. Because they don't own a house. They live in hotels as they travel. Oh, okay. Interesting. Because I've never seen him, but does few videos in South Africa and one or two where he's done some stuff with Thomas Heaton. I don't watch him a lot. I just like to watch him for the videography. And I try to, Darius Britt is a videographer I like a lot. He's a filmmaker. He does more filmmaking than photography. And I like things I've learned from him is like, I'll watch the video and I'll deconstruct it in my mind and see how he photographed it or filmed it or whatever. Circular polarizer to the rescue from midday sun. Yeah, that'll help a lot. I'll fail to use them a lot of times. I am bad to not want to filter up a lens once I've got it out and I've gotten to shooting. I just don't get back in the bag and I'll leave the filters in the bag. They're in there and I fail to get them out. Yeah, now that Andrew and Danae, is a really interesting channel. Tech Assist says being in England, he likes to see different locations. Yeah, I don't get to travel to Machu Picchu and places like that very often, so I do travel a fair amount. More than most people get to, but it's not to exotic destinations like that all the time. So I will film wherever I'm at. Like we're gonna go to Birmingham pretty soon, so I'm gonna get some footage while I'm there. Birmingham, Alabama. It's not Birmingham, England. Birmingham, Alabama used to be a big steel city. Birmingham Steel was in Birmingham, Alabama, and the whole city was built around the steel industry. Now, Max, where is City Boy? Yeah, he dropped. Did he even show up this time? He may be doing something else. Machu Picchu is overdone. Yeah, I would like to see it just to be there, just to go see it. But as far as doing a destination there just for a video for the channel, yeah, not valuable enough anymore. Like you said, it's been done to death. There's lots of locations like that now. Tech, yeah. Yeah, I'll use the video and it'll go on the channel. But yeah, it'll be, I don't know if I'll see any of the steel industry. I'm not sure what part of the town we're going to, but I'll film it and put it up, yeah. He has to use dry ice because regular ice will ruin it, won't it? I think I'm going to do a whole live stream next week and have nothing but my Sony and my Fuji camera. Long Rider will be the only person to watch. If I talk about Jason Lanier in it, I can get a lot of views. Yeah, there comes Teresa again. Man, the videos about him have popped up lately. Have y'all noticed that? It's gotten crazy. I figured that would die out, but it hasn't. It's kind of like it's snowballing. It's kind of weird. I've kind of quit following it because, just to be honest with you, he looks guilty. But they called you boss lady. Oh, is it snack time already? Wow.
And Linda told us he's about to call me something.
Oh, okay.
My stuff, so I can talk.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to pull the plug on the stream, guys, because I got to gather up my gear so I can go out this evening. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you for stopping in. Oh, was he? Yeah, Texas said he always looked guilty. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and that's what the videos look like too. I appreciate you guys logging in. Yeah. Anytime. So, this is David, the Georgia photographer, and if you like this video, then hit that like button down there. And if you like this, if you like the live stream, I'd give it a thumbs up for that too. And if you like comments, you need to read the comments to this video. That's half of these live streams. If you're watching them after they've been posted as videos, definitely watch them to where you can see the comments, because that's the best part of it. And I appreciate it. And you guys, I'll see y'all soon. There'll be a video coming out Wednesday about this 50mm f1.4. That's the next one coming out. So I tell you, I appreciate it, guys. We'll talk to y'all soon. Bye-bye. And thank you, Tech.